How's it going today, guys? Andrew back at you with another episode. So I have Joshua here. He is a super successful entrepreneur in the digital marketing space, and I'm going to dive into his business and his story and what he's currently doing in today's marketing. So without further ado, Joshua, you want to take it away?
Yeah, Andrew, man, I appreciate being on. It's great to be able to kind of jump on. I mean, especially with everything going on in the world right now, the more we can kind of get valuable information, share, how some of us have gotten through similar situations like this. I'm always 100% in. So I'm happy to be on here, man, and kind of share as much as I can today.
Absolutely. So give us a little bit of background on yourself, how you got started into business, what you're currently doing now, and just the whole scoop.
Yeah, man. So it goes back, right? I aged myself when I started going into this stuff. So I started my first company back in like 2002, 2003. In the online advertising space. This was back like pay per click, right? We were syndicating and sending XML feeds, like working with companies like Google and Yahoo back in those days. And one of my first clients happened to be a company that most people forgot about these days, which is MySpace. So we, yeah, I used to monetize. I was one of my first contracts was to monetize all the traffic on that page. So it was pretty amazing. At a very young age, we're making tremendous amounts of money, good and bad, right? We make a lot of bad decisions sometimes when you kind of get in that piece. We did arbitrage. I'm not sure if you know the term or not, but it was buy low, sell high. So we would purchase traffic with ads on MySpace for pennies on the dollar, and then send them to another site powered by Yahoo that had ads that were $50 to $100 a click, and we would make that money on the margin. So buy a click for a tenth of a penny, send it to another page, make $100 on it. As you can see, it was back then it was a little bit different, printing money.
Right, literally, that's pretty lucrative there.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we started with that, and then I built multiple companies kind of throughout that time frame of from the CPC, CPA, CPM, all those different aspects. I mean, throughout my career to this point, I think I've personally managed over $100 million in ad spend. My companies have managed over 300 million in ad spend, and I've controlled over 35 trillion online impressions on my own servers. And now that was what I used to do.
Right. So, like, what has it progressed into nowadays? Like, what is your current business structure and everything?
Yeah, no worries, man. I mean, I went through 2008. That was a rough time. But I was still able to kind of get through it. I mean, we were bleeding money back then. But one of the biggest things that I saw from 2008 till probably about 5 years ago, there was this huge shift in the online advertising world. People didn't understand the difference between traffic and actually true engagement, where it was actually kind of going. And I kind of had a different change in my life, where everything was, work, pretty much work, work, work. And I was building a family outside looking in. I had the perfect family. I had, multiple companies, the house, the cars, travel, kids, everything. But dude, I got to a point where I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I had all my friends were kind of monetary at that point because I paid for a lot of things. And I had no vision about where I was going. I just knew where I was at. And like I said, everything was work or play. And I had to make a shift. And I kind of went through a point where I realized the relationship I was in wasn't conducive to both of us being happy either. So I had went through a divorce and shut down. My lawyers looked at me and go, Josh, it's going to take up to 3 years to kind of go through. So shut down all my companies. I gave my ex everything. And at 36, I moved back in with my parents with a little bit under $1,000 in my name and restarted my life, which was intense, which kind of got me here, man, where I'm at, which my company Standard Authority. I kind of looked back and I was like, what did I learn from all that? And what do we need to actually change and be able to make this progress better, especially in today's world? And that was teaching people how to be human online. And that's kind of what we do with Standard Authority. We found LinkedIn was a platform that most companies and most people, it's an underserved platform. And most people don't understand how to be able to do it well. And if they are, they're just not treating people with respect that need to be on there. So we kind of went in and we're like, look, we've got to get away from, there's no B2B or B2C. There's only H to H, human connection. And let's go through and do true engagement marketing and teach people how to engage, connect, educate, and inspire their audience and draw them in and never have to sell them. And that's related to me being able to work with guys that I used to read their books on how to be able to start my company. Some of the biggest business coaches in the world are now our clients, where we're actually going in and helping them engage and connect with their audience to not only create space for them to be heard, but for their audience to feel like they're being heard as well.
That's beautiful. Now just kind of backtracking, when you
Yeah.
went through that divorce and you lost your, not necessarily lost, but when you closed out your companies and tied all them loose ends, did you find it harder to restart and get going again, or did you find it kind of seamless since you already did it again? Of course, there's a whole mindset aspect to all that, but like in
The
the
mindset was
business sense.
the mindset was the hardest thing, and that's where I want people to think about. Look, I mean, no matter what you think is the right decision, it's still hard to be able to go through. I tried to go in, and this is the biggest thing I learned. Our perception of other people's perception of us is what drives us mad. And I'll say that again, our perception of other people's perception is what drives most people crazy. And that was my thing, right? I still saw myself as that guy that was running multiple companies. People came to for everything. It was like, I could help everyone with everything. And I didn't have that anymore. And holding on to that was driving me, not allowing me to be able to find that success, because you're right. I had the relationships. I had the opportunity. I started my first company on my couch. And now I was starting it again in my parents, extra room. And it was like, okay, and I'm trying to pretend in this online world that I was something that I wasn't. And I finally went to a couple of my closest friends, and I kind of told them really where I was at. Cause I mean, I was going through like almost a mini depression, because it was just, you kind of go, okay, it's releasing, it's free. You go out and have a lot of fun and go through to distract yourself. And then you're like, whoa, okay, why isn't things working? Why aren't we moving forward? And when I finally told my friends first, and they're like, yeah, dude, we know. We know what you're going through. Thank you for reaching out. Because as entrepreneurs, we solo ourselves. We're like, oh, we can do it all our own. And dude, I almost killed myself trying to do it all on my own. And once I started realizing that I can't do it on my own, I can't change this world on my own. I need a way to be able to work with other amazing entrepreneurs like yourself. That's when my success started happening again. And I started going, what do I need to be able to do? And I was able to leverage those relationships and reach out to people that I always treated with respect, and to be able to start that business going faster. But it was first and foremost 100% mindset.
Absolutely. I've been in the same boat as you. It was rough and it took a while to get back on, but once you get that ball rolling and get past the mindset, really all of like the business characteristics in the back end is all basically the same. And like you said, if you treat everybody with respect, and I truly believe the more you give, the more you get, like regardless what you do in life. But that is definitely on point. Now, in your current business, what is your, like, how did you get that started? Was it all organic traffic? Did you jump into paid traffic since you were basically starting from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, everything was organic with me, man. I mean, I was starting to do it on my own first, to be able to kind of understand the LinkedIn algorithm. The beautiful thing about LinkedIn, especially right now, your organic reach is like Facebook circa 2008. It's amazing what you can do as long as you understand what they're doing. And they truly reward you for true social selling, which social selling is not taking your old spammy shit that you did offline and then doing it on social. It's actually engaging, educating, and drawing your audience, and they reward you for that on that path. And so I started being able to go through there, writing articles, going through and really figuring out and reaching out first and foremost, like you said, giving. Who were the people that I knew that I could help? And I was like, hey, let me do this for you. Because I mean, I went through a whole period too where I did, I was I'm gonna help people. I'm gonna be a mindset coach and go through this. After my divorce, I wrote a book called Balance is Bullshit: How to Live More of an Integrated Life, not this whole work-life balance that's really unattainable. Because that's what really drove me. And I was like, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be a life coach. Yeah, it's great. I share as much as possible on what I messed up on and what I learned from, but trying to be a life coach wasn't in where I really needed to be. It was more in the marketing world, teaching marketers how to be human online again. And by doing that, I became the influencer, and I started drawing in and leveraging my relationships to go, hey, let me help you first. Let me prove to you that I can do what I say I can do. Because that's the thing, right? People are like, oh, I can make you $10,000. Well, show me. And there's so many coaches out there right now that are just like, I can do this for you, but they've never done that. I mean, there's LinkedIn experts right now that reach out to me. Hey, have you ever thought about using LinkedIn for leads? And I'm like, look at their profile, because they haven't looked at mine. And I'm like, oh, cool. You were a Domino's delivery driver 3 months ago, and now you're consider yourself a LinkedIn expert because you took a course. And that's the whole piece, man. I mean, I did organically because the ability was there. No one else was doing it, and there's still that huge opportunity to be able to help people if you know how to be able to do it right on that platform.
Absolutely. So what is that in today's market of, since obviously starting years ago to currently everything has changed when it comes to advertising and everything. What does it look like when you're trying to help people build authority? Like what are some key characteristics that are just general through the whole strategy behind it?
Yeah. So here's the whole thing. Like none of our clients, my clients range. I mean, I've had personal coaches, but a lot of my clients have products or services that range anywhere from $5,000 a month, reoccurring to $50,000 a month. And we never use advertising ever with any of our clients because you don't need to be able to do it if you're doing it right, treating people like another human being on the other side. So some of those ways we do that. Let me ask you this, Andrew. Whenever you've liked or like, let's say you've on Facebook, right? You reached out, you liked someone's post. Has anyone ever reached out to you and said, "Hey, man, a personal message, Andrew, man, I just want to reach out and say thanks for liking my post"?
Hardly ever.
It doesn't happen, but our human condition of being online right now has gone to like, post, comment, share, like, post, comment, share. That's our circle, and we've got to create those stop gaps, right, to be able to go in. So how do we do that? I figured out, well, we've got to be able to appreciate, and I want to start with appreciation because I think more so than now with the coronavirus issue going around, we are starting to appreciate these little things. But for most part, most people don't appreciate enough in life. So I wanted to start off appreciating someone for something they've never been appreciated for. So we reach out with our clients. I hate cold calls and I hate cold emails. So we started going in, and everyone that likes, comments, and shares, and you can do this on any platform, reach out to them and say, "Hey, Andrew, man, I saw you like my recent post X. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you. Too often we don't appreciate these things, and I'd love to know what pushed you to check out my post," right? We're starting a conversation. So that's one way we do it. Always engage with people that engage with you. At the same time, there's social listening, right? So a lot of people don't even understand what it is. It's like listening to your audience, finding your ideal audience and listening, because they're all posting online so much. And there's one reason, the most visceral reason above all else, that everyone posts online. If I had to ask you, why does everyone in the world, first and foremost, above all else, post online?
Either attention or they're trying to drive some sort of engagement. They want to feel that like release in their brain, like, oh, yay.
Well, that's a great answer. And I'll tell you even more so, even before that, most viscerally, they want that hit of dopamine every time they get a like.
Right.
Like that's above all out. They get that. They don't even realize that sometimes it's subconscious. Every time we get a like, we're like, "Oh yeah, man, I got engagement. This is awesome." And you get the hit of dopamine. That's just the most human. So that's what we show our clients as well, is go after, define your ideal avatar, your audience, and engage on their content first. I'll see one of your posts. I go, "Andrew, man, I saw you posted yesterday on X. Man, really appreciate that post. You add a lot of value to the platform. Love to be able to connect with you and find out more about what you're up to these days." So in the same sense, we're just appreciating people for posting. Our ideal clients to start a conversation. On the other side, we're engaging people that engage with us. And it just all starts with appreciation. And we start this whole path of engagement marketing and asking them, making it all about them first and foremost. And we do that for our clients and do a lot of classes to be able to teach people how to be able to do this and really, create impact when, educate, inspire, and draw people in and never have to sell them. And it's a lot more liberating. And you get some amazing clients. And your LTV goes crazy on that side too.
Absolutely. That's awesome, actually. So now are you solely focused on LinkedIn, or are you like multi-platform like Facebook, Instagram, or is that just your sole go-to?
Yeah, I mean, like I told you, I ran multiple companies. Like when I got my divorce, I actually was running 10 different companies ranging from 6, 7, and 8 figures. And I was everything to everyone, right? It was like, "Oh, so go ask Josh. If you've got a problem or question, he can answer it, or one of his questions companies can help out, or he knows someone," right? So I was everything to everyone, but I was nothing to no one because they never went to me something for specific, right? It was like, "Oh, if you just have a question." So when I started going back in there, I wanted to kind of be the best at one thing. Now, these strategies that I teach and we help our clients with, we do it on LinkedIn specifically. But dude, I'm not teaching anyone or showing anyone or doing anything that's nothing short of what our mothers and fathers taught us growing up on how to treat other human beings. It's just golden rule stuff to treat people with respect and talk to them, like conversation like you and I are doing, rather than talk at them. So I've had many of my clients, like we'll give them the strategy and they'll do it on LinkedIn. We'll help them on LinkedIn. They'll do it on Instagram. They'll do it on Facebook because it works. But I just, look, I'm going to stay in my zone of genius and my lane and just help people that way.
Absolutely. Now, when you are helping a client find their customer avatar, what's your strategy behind going about and finding it? Because I've heard a bunch of different strategies. Like people will go out and they'll click on every single thing and actually go through and like spy on the person and get all the information through person. Or is there like a streamlined process that you have found to like find that ideal market that they need to be in?
Yeah, well, with LinkedIn, it makes it really easy. They've got what's called Sales Navigator. It's their built-in CRM. It's like $89 a month. And I tell people a lot of times too, look, if one client can bring you $89 at minimum, LinkedIn's probably not your platform, because it's not a platform you're trying to sell thousands of widgets, right? It's a higher level, because your average income on that platform is $118,000 a year compared to like Facebook, which is around $64,000 a year. So higher income, higher disposable, well, who knows what it is now. I haven't looked at the stats in the last 2 weeks. Everything's probably changed dramatically. But historically, that's what you're seeing, a higher educated, higher disposable income individual on that platform. So we use Sales Navigator, where a lot of companies use it for marketing. They're using it to be able to go, oh, if they fit a certain bracket, they're inserting this in and doing mass automation. Hey, Andrew, I see you're a coach and da-da-da, and you're like, you and I picked that up real quick. We know if we see ads, we know if we're in a funnel, and we know if we're in automation. So it's amazing people think that's going to work all the time. The masses eventually figure it out. So what we do, we use Sales Navigator. It allows you to define your audience based on, let's say you're a secondary connection. You start going through and really go through and define your audience on who you worked with in the past and look at yourself, right? I hate coaches that go in and like, I'm going to teach you to make 7 figures, but they've never done
it. Right.
Or you've got a health coach that's unhealthy looking, and they're going to teach you how to lose weight. And I mean, I'm just being honest. And it's like, I want to be able to follow people that are able to be able to show. I mean, you've got guys out there that if you can't produce and show me the results, like I'll let you talk to any one of my clients and we'll show you everything that goes on. There's other people like, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do this. And you start looking at it, you're like, dude, there's no way. So look back. What have you done? What have you thought about? Like me, I'm an only child. I grew up, really wanting and always looking at how to be able to connect with other human beings and connect with others, because I didn't have brothers or sisters to be able to do that with. So that was one thing that I took, and I was like, man, I spent my entire life trying to connect with other individuals. I can teach people how to be able to do this. And I know the online advertising world, I did it for 10, 15 years. I'm going to put these two things together and really just be me 100%. So that's what I want people to think about. And you can go through and define your audience and go through, and you're not looking for 100,000 people to mass spam on LinkedIn. If you're doing it and you're listening and you're engaging on their content first and asking good qualifying questions, you don't have to be able to do that, because you're making it about them first. Allow them to come to you and choose to work with you, and go build advocacy first and allow the byproduct to become clients.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Look within yourself. Look what you've done well. Ask your friends. I mean, like I did this with my wife. I said, hey, I want you to reach out to your best friends, people that know you best. Say, hey, what's the one thing that if you had something on, what would you come for me for? What's that one thing? Reach out to 10 people and ask them that. If you don't know what you're already doing, that's the best way. Those people should know you better than anyone. Well, I'd reach out to you for X. So and start putting that together, because there's going to be a commonality that you're going to be able to find, and you can kind of push forward that way.
Absolutely. That is definitely the truth. And it always changes over time with knowledge too.
100%. We're always growing. You're never like, if people are like, oh, LinkedIn, I'm like, don't call me a LinkedIn expert, because again, I don't think I'm ever going to be an expert on anything, right? I mean, it's constantly growing and evolving and changing. Look, man, I'm just someone trying to be able to teach marketers how to be human online again, to make this world a better place. And we need that more than ever, because so many people are now slamming online. They're living their entire lives. People that you and I have been doing this for a bit, but there's so many others now that are just learning it and they don't know. And there's so much noise online, even more so than ever before. You got to
that
be
is
able to find how to cut
110%.
through it. Yeah.
Right, literally, that is 100% the truth. Now, when you going back, when you were in the MySpace era of marketing to
Yeah.
compared to nowadays, what made you want to go into that market? Like, what was that first, like when you first got started into it, what was like, oh wow, I want to go digital? Because back then, I mean, it was nothing. Nobody knew anything
No.
about it. Like that, it wasn't like in 2017, 2016 when everybody started that rush. It wasn't there then.
No, it wasn't. I mean, honestly, I got invited. So I mean, before that, I was in mortgage, and I had my broker's license. So just doing that right in college, and I had a buddy of mine. I had moved out to California. I'm in Austin, Texas right now. He's like, hey, man, you know, this is becoming, as you could kind of see in 2000, 2003, where everything was going in the mortgage world, which, because everyone was like, especially in California, they were buying their homes for 300,000. Now they owed 800,000 on their house, and they were living on their refinance. So we kind of saw that coming well before '08 hit, and then you had this huge bust. You're like, wait a minute, you're living on refinancing your house, and you're supposed to pay it down, not make it more expensive. So when he invited me in, I said, okay, we'll go in. And dude, Andrew, I started. Do you know what the Alexa list is?
I do not know.
So the Alexa list is before Alexa was even, you know, a thing. As I'm pointing in my room, you know, it was a list of all the websites and where they ranked, like if Google's #1 based on traffic and things like that. So when I first went in, I was working for someone else for the first 5 months. And I got invited into this world, and basically they said, hey, look at the Alexa list and reach out to people. And so we would go to websites and we would reach out and go, I mean, my email, I'd send 1,000 emails a day, and it was just tons of spam. Honestly, that's why I do so different now is I'll reach out and go, hey, Andrew, if you had a website, hey, I see you've got ads on your website, man. If I can make you $1 more a day than you're making now, I'm going to make you more money. If I can't, I'm just going to prove to you that you're making the most money possible via your website. That was it. So I went through this list, and I mean, I went through and I had to find an email for every website, and I would do it every single day. And I got blacklisted here and there. I mean, it was crazy. And so that's kind of how I started. It was like I was just invited by a friend of mine, but I saw the opportunity. And then what happened was the owner of that company changed from being a business owner to trying to be a business operator. And there's a huge difference, because if you don't work in your company, you don't know how to be able to do that. When he did that, the entire company started crumbling. And basically from that point, the company ended, and I started going, okay, how can I be able to revive this? There's a huge opportunity here. I can see the opportunity. And that was what I started just, again, I treated people with respect, even though that company had its issues. And I started reaching out. I was like, look, you know, and I reached out to companies like I had relationships with Google. I had relationships with Yahoo. I had relationships with, I mean, let's really age myself, Lycos, you know, and things like that, you know. And we would take their ads. I said, look, if you give me access to your ads, I will reach out to all these companies. And we started doing that. And it has happened that we got MySpace based on our relationship being out in like the LA area, that we were able to build that. And it just skyrocketed within 6 months. I'm hiring all the old staff back. And we started going in, and we were doing that. But with everything, everyone starts figuring out, they go, whoa, they're making money over here. I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to be a digital marketing expert. I'm going to do PPC advertising. And then that just messes up the entire ecosystem. And then everything kind of crumbles, and you have to kind of keep on going in these waves and see. So first it was PPC. Then it was like, okay, what do we do here? Oh, display ads. Okay, here, you know, we were doing these things, but it was like the industry was reinventing itself every couple of years, because it was getting, people would figure out, oh, I can build a bot and I can make as much money as I can in 6 months. And then I'll just change my name and change my company and start over again. And I'm like, dude, it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got hit because you had people that are doing that fraudulent traffic. I mean, I got hit by chargebacks from Google 2 different times, $500,000 once, and then $750,000 the next time. And I had to write checks out to my publishers that we were monetizing traffic, because we didn't know who did it. If you don't pay your publishers or your clients, they're all leaving. So you just got to take these hits. And it just became to a point where it's like, there's got to be a better way to be able to do this.
I understand that. Now, reverting back to your book, what gave you the inspiration to want to write that book? And like how, once you wrote the book, and because obviously that's a long process in itself, once you got it out there and once you determined like, oh wait, this isn't the market that I want to be in, how did you go through that exchange? Like what was that process like?
Yeah, man. I mean, I wrote the book more for me than for anyone else. I wanted to talk. I mean, as men, as entrepreneurs, we're basically raised to be able to be these rocks, be able to like, oh, never show that anything bad happens, anything goes in. And I mean, I had held the weight of the world of my companies, of my employees, of everyone, of my family on my back, not letting anyone know if anything was going wrong or what the things. I mean, I had at one point in time the best man for my first wedding stole $1 million from my company.
Oh geez.
I mean, these are things that, we had to keep on rolling through. I at one point in time too, this is how I start the book off. I was in Vegas at the Playboy Club at the top of whatever. It doesn't really matter which club. We were playing poker, and a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, I just sold my company for X million. You want to buy the source code that ran that business? We were already developing a code of our own for $1.3 million." I rolled the dice, and a year later, we lost $10 million in revenue because I did not do all my due diligence. And these were all stories that I didn't share with anyone. I didn't share that towards the end of my last marriage, which I'm married now again, and it's a much cleaner and better situation because I was real in who I was. But when I had my son, he's 10 now, I had in my office, I moved home. I wanted to be home. I didn't want to be those dads that wasn't around. And I always had my doors open in my office. And sorry, it gets me every time. Like, you start playing this in your head. And at a certain point, my doors closed to my office. I always wanted him to be able to hear the things, learn. And I always want to be confident that whatever I said, I could say in front of my son. If I couldn't, then I shouldn't say it at all. And at a certain point, my doors closed, and my office at my house not only became my sanctuary from everything that was going on, but it became my coffin. And I would just go in there, and I was running multiple companies and businesses, but I would stare at the wall for 8 hours straight and not do anything because I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't want to let anyone know that I was hurting so bad as an entrepreneur. And so when I finally released and finally moved on and go through, I was like, I have to be able to share this because I know I'm not the only one. I know there's other people that are going through this and this struggle, and they need to know that they don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be this rock. You can be real. You can be raw, and people will appreciate you more for that than trying to be this pretend like, hey, here's my Lamborghini I'm walking by, and you can have one too. Because it's bullshit. I mean, that's just so many people are going through there doing this stuff. And so that's why I released the book. It was more, I wanted to let everyone know what the things that I had never said before. And it took a huge weight off my chest and my back to be able to go through. And dude, I give out that book more than anything. Whenever I'm around, I talk to someone like, hey, let me give you a copy. That book wasn't made to make money or to be able to do anything. It was really just to be able to show a story and hopefully be able to help all the entrepreneurs behind me, and hell, maybe some ahead of me, to understand the different things that we all go through, and no one's alone. And how I changed, how I flipped the script and started living more of an integrated life, rather trying to balance a work-life balance. Dude, I tell people all the time, I go, if we had two different lives, that would be insane. It would be like having two different personalities. If we had two different personalities, we'd be locked up in an insane asylum. We don't have that. We have one life, and we have to live it that way. And I mean, that's kind of why, like, everything I do now on platform with LinkedIn and life, I mean, dude, it's all the same thing, just treating people with respect.
Absolutely. So what does your current day-to-day routine look like with everything like
with pre-corona? Or
right. It's kind of one of them shaky things. I guess pre-current.
I'm in my bedroom right now. Yeah.
Right. Before we all got quarantined down, what did your like day-to-day life inside of business look like? Because I know everything's shifted now, and it's just crazy with everybody being on lockdown.
Yeah, my mornings are still very similar, other than the fact that I can't go to the gym. So I'm a huge thing of being able to start your morning off and giving yourself power, because no one makes you successful other than yourself. Most people in this world, they start their day off the same way. And they pick up this right here. And that's how first they wake up, they go and look at their phone, look what's going on. Guess what? Well, now it's a little bit different, but the world hasn't ended, and the world's not going to end. So when you do that, when you look at that phone, you set precedents that the outside world is more important than you. And I don't ever want to do that. The rest of the day, your whole day is like, oh, the world's more important than you. The world didn't end. Your company didn't stop. Now that's a little bit different now. You never know what's going to happen. But before that, I woke up, I would meditate, I would read, I would work out, I would spend time with my kids. These are all, so I wake up at 5:30 every morning. I don't work or touch a computer, touch my phone till 9 a.m. Because it's all about giving back to me first and making sure that I am the strongest and the best person I can be, so then I can help the world better. So that's still the same. My mornings are still, how I start my morning off hasn't changed, other than it's a little bit more stressful going, okay, when am I going to turn on the news and find out what's going on next? Like today in Austin, I think they're about to release a 2-week, stay-at-home quarantine. So, Andrew, where are you at?
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. They released that yesterday, so I'm on 2-week full lockdown, basically.
Okay, yeah, we're about to go on 2 or 3 weeks later on today too. So, we're all in this, and that's the whole thing, man. We're all in this together. The beautiful thing that's changed for us pre to post, other than like we're learning how to work. Like I told you, I gave my office away to my wife because she's usually not working at home. So I was like, you need more of that space that's closed off, because I'm used to being able, if I need to work at home, I can. So I can do this. I can do whatever. Having my kids around, it's now. I allow them kind of run around. But now my biggest thing that's changed in my day is, where can I give? How can I help out? In the last 5 days, I've done multiple podcasts. I've done different online seminars, just giving on. And it's like, I want to just keep on. That's how I always did. And ran my business, like give freely. And if people want to get there faster, they can hire me. But if they want to just learn themselves, man, look, they can't mimic you, right? So they can take whatever you're teaching, go in, they can try it, and hopefully they'll get it. We'll all rise up together. But if they want to get there faster, they'll hire us. So yeah, it's just, other than the fact that I think I told you before we started this interview, is like, other than the fact that even though this hasn't changed that much, I either go to the office and I spend my day there, or I spend my day at the house, I didn't really have to go out or feel like I needed to. I'm an extrovert when I need to be and an introvert when I don't, and now that I can't, it is more like, God, I just want to go outside. I want to go do something. So, because I don't like being, that's why we became an entrepreneur, right? We didn't want someone else telling us how to do things. We wanted to be able to do ourselves. So that's the biggest change right now, is just trying to keep a mindset that's positive with everything going on.
Absolutely. I'm definitely the same way. Everything's been super shaky on this side, especially with everybody already on lockdown, majority of the East Coast side. Now, on your business side, how, obviously we all join this because we want that freedom of time. In your current business state, how much time do you invest into it every single week? Like, do you have select days that you off, or do you work whenever it needs to be worked, or do you have that as like a set schedule?
So remember, I don't start working till 9 o'clock.
Right.
So, every day is the same way. And then because I'm divorced and I have kids, I have my kids 50% of the time. So prior to this, it's a little bit different now, but prior, like when I had my kids Wednesday at 2 o'clock, I picked them up 2:30, I pick them up to school. On Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I was done working. So that was my thing, right? Monday, Tuesday, I worked, 9 to 5 going through. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I worked 9 to about 2:30, 2 o'clock, depending on what I need to do to go pick my kids up from school. So that's usually my work. My weekends are to myself. Now, if something needs to come up, it is what it is. But, we don't do any automation at Standard Authority within my company. I have human beings running and doing all this messaging and teaching people how to be able to do it. So that's always the biggest thing is, family first, kind of go through, and then don't overwork yourself. People now, especially with everything going on, they're saying people are working more than ever because they're trying to be able to figure out, because they don't understand the whole remote work. And so they're putting even more hours in. You're going to see a lot of people burn out. You really need to listen to your body. I mean, I take off. It amazes me. Some people, I look at these companies, are like, "Oh, we don't take a lunch." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't take a lunch?" Like, "Oh, we might eat something on our desk." I was like, "You need to get outside. You need to take a break." I mean, these are those pieces that you need to be able to do. And as I tell everyone, I mean, even our clients that we're just teaching them how to be able to do what we do, like through our master classes like that, like we tell them, look, if you're going to do LinkedIn, only do it 1 hour a day. If you're doing more than that, you're stepping outside of your zone of genius, and you should be hiring someone else to be able to do that kind of thing and stick where you're at. So that's kind of where I spend my time, man, is just being able to connect, educate as much as possible. And, my life, other than now I'm taking it more breaks with my kids because they're home when I have them. So it's, I'll take a couple calls, I'll step in. I mean, the good thing is right now they haven't run into the room yet. But if they did, it is what it is. And I didn't have a problem with that before. So it's not going to change much now for me.
Absolutely. It always helps to have the kids in the video too, because then people relate to the family and everything else like that. So, now when you are necessarily going through and working on your mindset and progressing yourself, do you self practice and self educate in that, or do you have like different mentors or programs or stuff that you like keen to? Like personally, I have Colton's Anxiety Hackers, and it's like a daily planner program where you can plan out your day, and it helps like solidify your mindset. And that's kind of how I've built my mindset, along with a couple other mentors. But do you personally go through that, or is that something that you invest into?
I might do both, right? I mean, I've really been blessed over the past couple of years to not only be a part of different groups, entrepreneurial groups. I mean, like on Monday, we had a group that I was part of, Maverick 1000 with Yannick Silver. We have Maverick Mondays where we get on for 30 minutes. We all just kind of, we have a DJ play through Zoom, and we all get on there and just kind of dance and stuff like that, just to kind of get going, to be able to keep, especially now more than ever, in that mindset. And I guess I've been blessed. A lot of my clients now are people that I read their books on how to, so I'm able to be able to connect with them, right? So Dan Sullivan, a strategic coach, he's been doing, one of the top business coaches in the world for the past 30 years. John Maxwell, Joe Polish. I mean, these are guys that have been doing and teaching amazing mindset. So I'm able to not only help my clients, but also be able to glean and understand from amazing mentors throughout my life. I think everyone needs someone to be able to kind of look up to, and I've offered my help many times to others anytime I can. I mean, this is why when people, you had posted on Facebook, hey, who's doing it? Who can help? I raise my hand every single time.
Absolutely. I mean, that's definitely it. Every single person I've ever talked to, when it comes to level of success, the difference between how they got their success and how a non-successful person is that they're more focused on how much can I give more than how much am I going to get out of this. And that's kind of like the thing that I've noticed between highly successful and mediocrely successful people. And I was super amazed that you reached out to me. Now, if anybody wants to find out more information or get your book or anything like that, where is the best place for them to go to find that?
Yeah, no worries. I mean, the best place to reach me, surprise, surprise, is on LinkedIn. You can find me, just look for Joshua B. Lee on LinkedIn. I mean, and all the other platforms is the Joshua B. Lee. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's usually the best way to be able to reach out to me on socially. At the same time, if you're looking for more information around like our masterclass, thing like that, you can go to soauthority.com. So soauthority.com. And that allows you to be able to kind of get a lot more of what we're doing. But dude, I post the biggest thing is I tell everyone, reach out to me, tell me, hey, I saw you on Andrew's podcast. Because you send me a blank message on LinkedIn, I'm just going to delete it. I want to know why you're reaching out. I hate when people just send a blank message, because more than likely I'm worried they're going to pitch me in 2 seconds after we connect.
Right.
And that's just, I don't believe in that. So I want people to reach out on my LinkedIn and say, hey man, I saw your podcast. Tell me one thing that you liked about the podcast, right? Let's connect. And then I share tons of valuable information daily on how to be able to leverage that platform, connect, on mindset, everything on that platform. That's where most of my content goes.
That's awesome. Definitely gonna have to jump on LinkedIn, because I've kind of been leery on LinkedIn because it's not my strong strength. I'm strong on Facebook, but LinkedIn's definitely something that I'm gonna start journeying into for sure. But
Yeah.
we're about running out of time here today, but I appreciate you jumping on here and sharing all of the valuable information that you have.